Hello everybody, welcome back to video diary number 4. This weekend I had an idea to make a game, and the idea for that game is kind of centered around the topic of running out of power. My idea for it is that the player would be a battery where the charge of the battery is their health, and it kind of works like any dual stick kind of shooter like Enter the Gungeon or um, I can't even remember another one right now, but like Enter the Gungeon is like a good example of what it should be like. And you basically go around killing enemies, getting upgrades, roguelite sort of variants where the further you get, the better stuff you get, and the more resources you get to better yourself so that you can get even further the next time. Um, but it'll be centered around that idea of the player being a battery and their health being the charge of it. And I was thinking about having the weapons be electrically based, so instead of having ammo, it just saps off of your health to do the like shooting. So like if you have a pistol, every bullet of the pistol will cost a point of health or something like that, and it can vary based on what the weapon, like how many shots it has, how powerful each shot is, things like that. And then there can be upgrades that the player could go for, such as um, like a generator power up that the enemies can drop so that you can pick it up for a quick boost of health, or an upgrade that you keep with you, like an alternator, so that as long as you keep moving throughout the map, you gain health back, you gain charge. Just different things like that, and then all the enemies would be based around like electrical appliances or something that are trying to get the power from you. So you're having to fight them off to keep the little battery that you have left. And I thought it might also be kind of cool if there's a mechanic where if the player is 100% charged and they try to charge more, whether through picking up a health pack or using the alternator power ups or something, that like a real battery, if it stays plugged in past full charge for long enough, its maximum charge goes down and it starts relying on being plugged in to stay alive. So if a player picks up an alternator and they get to full health and they keep charging, it reduces their max health until they either lose some so that the charge isn't going past 100% anymore, or they get down to a minimum like 1 point of health or something, where maybe you can try to work into that to build 1 HP glass cannon builds where you can't get hit, but you do insane damage for having that one damage or something. I haven't thought super in depth about how all of the mechanics will work or what power ups and things there will be, but that's sort of the base idea of what I was wanting to go for. And currently, I have mapped out very basic, um, a very basic proof of concept in Unity. I don't have the shooting reduces the player's health in yet because I don't know how to balance it yet, and I don't want to be testing weapons and then die and have to restart and just a whole bunch of rigmarole. But I have a player that you can control and go around, and I have it set up so that I can use either mouse and keyboard with the WASD and the mouse for aiming, or I have it set up so that you can use a gamepad where the left stick is moving and the right stick is aiming. But because of the way that I have it set up, you can actually mix and match them if you want. So if you wanted to move around with WASD but aim with a controller, or move with a controller and aim with the mouse, you can do that. And the moving with a controller and aiming with a mouse actually does feel pretty good, but then there's not really an easy way to find a pause button because I have it set up to the pause on the controller and escape, and both of those are really unreachable if that's the setup that you're going for. But the player goes around and they start off currently with um, like a fan shooting ricochet bullet gun, But as you can see, there's 3 different pickups that I put down so that all of the guns I have modeled currently are in. And the guns are actually modeled out prefab, so they can just be drag and dropped into a pickup. And then if the player walks over the pickup, it just gives it to them and swaps out for whatever they're using at the time. And they're all based off of a parent weapon class. So there's no it doesn't take a lot of effort to make a new gun, and all of the guns shoot off of a parent bullet class. So it's very easy to say, hey, I have my normal pistol that has 1 shot per second, and it has a 5 units per second velocity, and it's currently shooting the normal bullet, which does 10 damage, but I want it to shoot a ricochet bullet, which does the same amount of damage but ricochets off of walls, or I want it to shoot an explosive bullet that does slightly less damage, but it has an area of effect whenever it touches something. It's very easy to do it that way because of the parent-child system that I have set up with the weapons. I can actually show you a little of it here. So the base weapon class is this. It basically is just going to have the your fire rate of the gun, the velocity that the bullet should be using out of your specific gun, so that if you want one gun that shoots a lot of bullets but they're all pretty slow, versus having like a high-powered sniper rifle where you want the velocity really high but the bullets per second is really low. You can kind of change that through here. And then it takes a reference to a bullet prefab, which is that parent bullet class that it's going to shoot out of the gun, using its overridden shoot method. And then I also have a thing for if it's owned by a friendly, so that the player can't use like a ricochet gun and shoot off of a wall and hurt themselves. They can only hurt enemies. And because of the way that it's set up, I could have AI that are set up to follow the player, and then if they shoot and the gun is set to as friendly owned, it won't hurt the player. So there can be like a party system, maybe. I haven't thought about if I want to do it that way, but the option is there, and it's not that hard to do because of the way it's set up. And then if we go over to the bullet parent class, it's just going to have its damage, and then it's going to have a max distance that it can go. So if it's not ricocheting off walls and it's not hitting anything, there's a max distance that it can travel before it deletes itself. Really, that's just for me so that a bullet doesn't fly off the screen and then stay in memory forever until a new scene is loaded. But it also kind of adds the aspect of a range that you can shoot. So if a bullet is like a higher caliber bullet where its velocity is higher, maybe its max distance goes further or something like that. And then it just has all of this stuff to set up, like this is determining what angle the bullet should be shooting based on the direction that was given to it from the gun. And then this is just saying, as long as the game isn't paused, check if your distance is over the certain amount. If it is, destroy the bullet. And that usually should be called from the update on the bullet itself. So if we go look at a specific one like our normal bullet has a fixed update that just checks if the game's paused. So if the player's in the pause menu, bullet shouldn't be moving around hurting the player. Everything should be paused and stop moving. And then if it's not paused, then we just move it by its velocity. And then we have an on-trigger enter so that if it collides with a wall, a player, or an enemy, it reacts differently based on what it interacted with. And those can be modified. So like between the normal bullet here, it just shoots out of the gun, keeps moving until it either hits the max distance or one of the 3 things that we have set up for it to interact with. But if we go over to something like the ricochet bullet, it has a completely different on-trigger enter. So if it hits a player or an enemy, it reacts the same. But if it hits a wall, it actually checks, has it bounced more than the certain amount of times that it's supposed to, which the default is 3. And if it hasn't, then bounce off of the normal of the wall so that it's, for those that aren't very well versed, the normal is like the flat face that you're connecting with. So if a wall is straight up and down vertical, the normal would be east and west off of the wall based on which direction you're looking at it from. So if we hit it from the east side, grab the normal of the east side of the wall and multiply our direction based on a negative normal so that it's a direct counter. It essentially, that's how you make a bounce. And then if the bounce has reached a maximum, meaning it hasn't hit a player or an enemy or something else we're wanting it to interact with, and it also hasn't gone that maximum distance, but it's hit its maximum bounces, it'll die anyways. So that can be useful for if you can get like a really tight hallway with a bunch of enemies and you just shoot a couple of ricochet bullets in there and it just bounces around the whole room hitting everything. That's basically what that's for. If we wanted to look at an example of what one of the child guns looked like, we have our normal gun, which just overrides the shoot method, and it basically just says, hey, as long as it's within our time range that we can shoot based on our bullets per second, then figure out the direction that our gun is aiming and spawn a bullet there and send it on its way. But if we have something like the fan shooting gun, it overrides the same thing, but it has a bullet count modifier and it has a spread angle modifier. So instead of shooting one bullet from the barrel of the gun in the direction that it's aiming, we have 3 bullets spread across 15 degrees each from each other, where the middle of that fan is where the gun is aiming. And then we have our player controller. It's very simple. There's not a lot here outside of just the player's actual movement and if they can shoot and how they aim. And then the AI has basically the exact same thing. Just I don't have a movement set out for them yet because I tried working on it, but it ended up being really jank, or they were just way overpowered because they would just follow the player super accurately and be able to cut you off and things, and I didn't like that. So I deleted it all and I'm just going to work on it again later. But it's set up so that as long as you are within their range of sight distance, which I think currently is like 100 units or something like that, then they will start aiming their guns at you and shooting. And the shooting that they have is based off of the same shoot method that the player has. So if a player has a gun, no matter what that gun can do, because he's using the shoot method, all AI have that same ability. So if the player can create a gun that's like a fanning, explosive round, ricochet, just massively overpowered thing, the AI have the same ability to get something overpowered like that and use it against the player. And it's just drag it off, drag it on. There's no major coding needed to do that. And that's also the same if I wanted to convert this to like friendly things like I was saying earlier. They all have access to the same shoot methods as the player. So if I wanted to do something like trading with one of your followers, so I have a gun and he spawned in with a different one that I want instead, I can swap with him. And because they're just using that basic shoot method, it takes no extra coding. It just swap the gun and you're good to go. But that's basically it for them. Trying to think if there's really much else. I have a pause menu and a death screen so that you can look at the controls or just take a break or click restart to restart the scene. and then on the pause menu, there's a quit button to actually get out of it, because for a little bit I was just using Alt F4, but I figured if I actually upload it anywhere for people to look at, even at this early of a stage, they can get out of it without using Alt F4. But that's all very basic early stage things, doesn't take a whole lot of effort. And then I just have this basic room that's 4 walls, and then you're just in there with access to each gun and 4 enemies to test them on. But if we wanted to actually load up and look at it, then we would come into here under builds, and it's all in Unity, so you just zip this up and upload it somewhere and people can play it. And you just load it up, and this is it. So WASD to move or the mouse to aim. It just follows itself to the mouse. It doesn't have like an indicator based on how far the mouse is. It's just that general direction. Or if I wanted to swap to controller, I have my left stick can move and my right stick can aim. But like I was saying earlier, I can left stick move and mouse aim at the same time if I wanted to use 2 different inputs for some reason. And it hides your mouse whenever you're using the controller, so that you're not like overlaying the mouse and not being able to see something or something like that. And you can press either escape on the keyboard, or what I'm going to use is pause on the controller to bring up a pause menu, which unhides your mouse. And you get these 4 controls: resume, restart, controls, and quit, which all can be hovered over with the mouse as well. And if you go to controls, you can see that's what our controls are. The button is auto-selected, so we can use A, but I have it set up so that you can also use B to go back. And then there's a restart, so that it restarts the entire scene, our health, all that stuff. And then the quit just exits out the entire thing. But right now we have that fanning weapon, so it's the fanning ricochet that has 3 bullets, and they just ricochet 3 times or to their maximum distance and then delete themselves. And then we have the fast weapon, which is the exact same as the normal weapon, but the bullets per second is kicked up quite a bit. So this is the fast weapon, and then this is the normal weapon. And this is holding to shoot, so this is as fast as it can get. But if we go over to our ricochet weapon and then come out here, we can see the enemies are already starting to shoot at us, and we can shoot back at them. And we can actually kill one of them. And if I pause it while they're shooting at me, none of the bullets keep moving, none of the enemies keep aiming. It's all stuck in space. And if I stand still, then I die, in which the player movement control is the only thing frozen. The AI still get to do whatever they want as sort of a what happened after you died kind of thing. But you can restart it from here, and it just restarts you back at full health in the same scene. And then if you quit, it just pulls you back out of the game. That's basically all that I have so far. I think in total that's taken me about 12 hours to get. I would say this is probably one of the further points I've been with making a game in Unity, outside of just basic UI development, but as you could probably tell, I'm terrible at UI. But this is all very early, so it doesn't... The stylize and like the look of it doesn't matter as much as getting the mechanics correct. But yeah, that's the game. That's the idea for it. I'm definitely going to keep working on this in the future. I'm just not sure how often or how far I'll actually be able to get on it. Hopefully, I can get it all the way and get it finished and try to put it out somewhere for people to play, but I know myself better than that. I know it probably won't get all the way to completion, but I'm going to try and get as close as I can before that point. But yeah, that's the game. Thank you for tuning in and checking it out. Another update for the channel will probably be around Thursday or Friday again. That's probably what our general schedule will be here. Just Thursday, Friday for video 1, and then Monday for like video 2, so that I get the normal week. So since I'm working during the week, I get the entire normal week to work on something, and then the weekend when I'm off of work, um, to get into some other project or continue on whatever I was doing throughout that week. Um, yeah, again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for um, liking any of the videos or leaving comments on what I do or don't do good. Um, Thanks for anyone subscribing to keep up with all of this, even though um, it's pretty all over the place, and there's not like a good there's not a good generalized topic that I go on about outside of just things that I'm working on. So it's probably not super entertaining to a lot of people, and I understand that, but it's more so a channel for me than it is for um, trying to be entertaining or popular. Um, but yeah, I will be back Thursday or Friday, probably with a continuation of this, but maybe with something else. We'll see. Um, but I'll see you then.